right, what's up guys and 8.3% ladies? I think I want to get this thing moving today. So that's kind of going to be the goal for today. End of this video is to put it on the wheels and try to move it. So I did get something in today that's going to be very important, and that's the throttle cable. So this is a Locar, I don't know how you say the name, Locar throttle cable. Kind of expensive for the budget build, but it was like 60 bucks. But this is a 48 inch and this is going to be long enough for what I need. So I measured out like a factory GM truck cable like I used in the truck, and it's not going to be long enough. It's like 37 inches. This is 48, so I should definitely have enough room. I think. So let's get this thing hooked up. We'll get everything else going, drop it on the wheels, and try to get it moving. And see if that clutch actually works. So I think that Willwood is going to have a tough time fitting in there. So I want to try it first and we'll go from there. All right, so I thought this piece was going to be a little bit more challenging than it was. It took about 3 minutes. I drilled a hole there, drilled a hole for the manifold bolt, and notched it out at an angle so it actually kind of like rests on the intake so it won't pivot with just using one bolt. And I'll pull on it quick. I mean, that should be just fine. So what I think I'm going to do is figure out where I need to run the rest of that cable. The cable's kind of long, so it's better long than short though. So I'll figure out where else I want to mount it and hook it up to the pedal. This was a drive-by-wire setup before, so I'm going to have to convert everything. I mean, find a hole in the pedal or drill a hole in the pedal and make some holes and stuff, so it'll be a treat. All right, so let's talk about this throttle pedal here. We now have a mostly converted pedal here, and this is what my shenanigans are going to look like. I just got this nut just goes over the threads and then it's spaced out with a washer, but I actually mounted it to the back side of this bracket and ran the cable through the center. I drilled a hole through the center so that cable could go through the actual rod that the pedal connects to. So once I depress the pedal, it'll pull the cable. I don't have it hooked up on the other side, so it doesn't spring back yet. But it does free travel inside there. This thing it just looked like this, basically, before I pulled it out. So it just had this little cage thing over the top of it. And on the back side there is where the throttle position sensor, or whatever you want to call it, was bolted onto, and then it was just connected to that black rod. So just took this off, took that little sensor out. There was already a hole on the backside here because there was a little rubber grommet that went through here to kind of stop the pedal travel. It was just a little rubber stopper, so I drilled that thing out, cut it out, and then drilled the hole in that rod, and now that works. All I got to do now is go back under, find a spot to run this thing through. I'll probably have to drill a new hole, and then it just bolts back on with two 10mm nuts, and that should be pretty straightforward. Okay, here's the update. It's all in there now. Got the little angle iron bracket, goes under, down, and around. I did just hold it down with a zip tie there, and it actually works like perfect just to hold it down in the right spot. I went through underneath through this factory grommet, and then along the AC lines into a hole that I drilled way back there. It's kind of hard to see. Pedal secured back up, and still not even going to be able to see the hole. But there's a hole there that I drilled, and it goes through, and this is bolted into the factory position. I did have to take the pedal and bend it up a little bit. So I just bent the rod up, probably, I don't know, half an inch, because the travel that it had was hitting the floor before it would fully open the throttle plate. But it works pretty good now. So we'll do the test, make sure it opens all the way. I just want to make sure this tab is opening all the way up and catching on this little stopper. So that works pretty good. It's actually set up perfectly to where the pedal hits the floor when the tab hits the stopper. So, swing! Alright, so I got it on the ground now. I do have the regular factory master cylinder still in there. I just want to try it and see what it does. We're going to try to move it. Yeah, it like wants to stay in gear. Even when I have the clutch in, when I start to push the shifter forward, it rolls forward. So if I turn it off and then I try to push it into gear, it'll go into gear and it stays, but when I lift the brake off, then it'll move forward. So we got it to move, but I had my foot in on the clutch that entire time. So when it was moving backward and moving forward, I had my foot in on the clutch the entire time. All I had to do was lift the brake and then it moves forward and back. So it's definitely not releasing, but it moves. Okay, so got ambitious tonight and decided to swap that master cylinder out. So I got the old one out, and this is going to be kind of tricky because it has a different pattern. So the Willwood has a vertical pattern, so I made this little aluminum plate. I hope it's going to be thick enough, but these bolts are going to go through the firewall, and this I just drilled and tapped a bolt that went in from this side, and then I just cut it off there. So it's actually tapped into the aluminum plate, threaded in all the way until it bottomed out, and then I chopped it off. So it's holding in there nicely. These nuts on the other side are held in, and it works pretty good. I actually did test fit it, and it fits. But what I'm doing now is I'm swapping out the little plunger piece. So I think this should work. So this is the one that was in the Willwood. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the one out of the 350Z master, and then I'm swapping it. So this little black plate, this little short plunger inside the black plate is from the 350Z, so I know it'll thread into the pedal. This little section right here that hooks onto the pedal, this is actually threaded. So that's why I'm swapping that out, because the thread is different. It seems like it should work. We'll see. So gonna finish swapping out the plungers and throw this thing in there. Okay, here it is with the plunger piece swapped out. Went in there pretty smooth. Seems like it works pretty good. So let's try to get this thing in. Okay, we got the vacuum bleeder hooked up. A lot of bubbles still coming out. I did fill the reservoir twice now. So it seems like it's a lot stiffer already. I couldn't even push it with my hand. I had to use my foot. So, and that's with the bleeder open and still a bunch of bubbles coming out. So hopefully that's a good sign. Okay, I'll try it again. See if it releases. See if it's good. moves forward and back. Gears go through like butter with it running. That was definitely it. So it releases. It is very, very stiff though. It is very stiff. I might have to add some air bubbles back into it, soften it up a little bit, but no, it's good. You can totally tell a difference. And every day will be leg day.